Hello, everyone. The title of the paper I'm going to present today is called Facebook Promotes More Harassment, Social Media Ecosystem, Skill and Marginalized Hijra Identity in Bangladesh. I am Fayika Farhat Nova, the first author of this paper, and my co-authors are Michael and DeVito, Pratyasha Saha, Kazi Shohanur Rashid, Shashwata, Sadia Afrin, and my supervisor, Shion Guha. For viewers' discretion, this presentation may contain some graphic contents that may be disturbing to some viewers. This paper focuses on a particular gender and sexually minor community called Hijra, who are primarily from South Asia and have a unique third gender identity. While in recent time Hijra community received their legal recognition, they're extremely stigmatized and oppressed in every sectors of their lives, such as limited access to education, healthcare facilities, and employment opportunities, forcing many Hijra to turn to sex work or begging. Because of their stigmatized identity and vulnerability, Hijra face abnormally higher rates of rape, sexual assault, and different forms of harassment, not only from the society, but also often from their own family members. While members of the Hijra community share some characteristics similar to Western LGBTQ populations, they're simply not a South Asian version of the Western concept of non binary identity. Unwanted children who are intersex and trans have to go through some traditional rituals to be part of the Hijra community, where they live in segregated housing communes raised by a matriarchal Hijra leader called Guruma. To give an idea on the types of harassment Hijra face regularly, let's look at this quote that was shared by one of our participants. It says, "They raped me multiple times. When I tried to file complaint against the rapist in the police station, the police officers raped me again. They said they were doing me a favor, as I would never get a respected man because of my identity. I was stuck within those vicious circle of sexual harassment until finally I decided to share these experiences on social media, expecting to be heard and saved." And this is where online participation and self-presentation of Hijra populations on social media become crucial to explore. The concept of social media ecosystem designed by DeVito et al. States that audience management, platform affordances, and online space, these three elements primarily drive Western LGBTQ self-presentation across multiple platform-based online ecosystem. However, we wanted to better understand whether this framework was enough to describe the need and use of online platforms by stigmatized users like Hijra, who are from a very different and complicated cultural context, having issues like less support system, less literacy, and internal community norms. Which is why, through this study, we focused on three specific research questions. First, we focus on what audience-related concerns Hijra have in their social media ecosystem. Second, we investigated how Hijra manage their audiences using the affordances offered to them by the platforms. And finally, how audience concerns and affordances impact their decisions to move around different platforms for targeted concerns. We collected data from 61 Hijra from Bangladesh in 6 months through semi-structured interviews and focus group discussion, and we use grounded thematic approach to analyze this data. During data collection, we faced some unique challenges because of the stigmatization of the Hijra community, which we further explain in details in the paper. To give some overview on how our Hijra participants describe their marginalized gender, let's focus on this picture. As you can see, Hijra have a very complicated gender perception where their legal recognition may describe them as Hijra, but within their own communities, they also perceive themselves as third gender, normative women, May Hijra, and Chele Hijra. As their gender construction is complex in real world, it becomes more concerning during their self-presentation on social media. For example, Our data shows Hijra use social media specifically for three primary audiences for three distinct reasons. First, they include family connections to maintain their daily or regular communications. Second, they maintain other Hijra connections for guidance or seeking protections from their daily struggle. And third, they communicate with cis men for romantic or online sex work purpose. The figure here shows how they separate their audiences in different platforms such as Facebook, Bigo Live, WhatsApp, Messengers, email to maintain these connections and specific types of communications. As multiple audiences can have different orientations toward Hijra identity, self disclosure on social media is a big part of Hijra's identity construction online. However, due to limited affordances provided by the platform, for example, as simple as not having their desired gender option enlisted in platform like Facebook, becomes a struggle for many Hijra to utilize these platforms for their safe self-disclosure and desired self-presentation. Due to their gender identity and nature of online sex work, many Hijra face extreme online harassment from others almost every day. There are several online pages and groups that actively target and bully Hijra populations on social media and post offensive comments in their profiles and groups. Even though platforms like Facebook tried to provide extensive privacy tools to combat harassment in their profiles, many Hijra participants mention of not being aware of these options. As they do not have proper access to necessary technical knowledge and skills that are required to utilize these features, they often end up with situations where they have to trade their identity construction and disclosure to avoid harassing experiences online. For example, here, as you can see, one of our participants said they are not aware of the report option of specific online communities that bully them and harass them because they simply do not have the access to the specific knowledge or skill that is required to utilize these affordances online. Technical skill as well as community norms and cultural influence also impact how these gender and sexually minor communities migrate or shift within different social media platforms. While some prefer Facebook for their family communications, some consider it as offensive and harassing as the privacy controls provided or not provided by this platform significantly limit their experiences online. For this, some Hijra leave Facebook without disabling their ID as they want to keep their connection open with their families in need, and also because some of them don't even know how to disable or delete their profile. Hijra's internal community norms and local culture also influence which online platforms they prefer as a group and recommend to use for their sex work and daily participation. Therefore, this study extends the current framework of social media ecosystem by integrating gender and sexually minor communities' technical skill and knowledge, community norms, and culturally appropriate features within the lens. As for unique communities like Hijra, only focusing on audience concerns and affordances without connecting them with their accessibility to resource, knowledge, skill, and cultural context will not provide whole picture of their existing and desired online ecosystem. Therefore, to set the focus more on non-Western gender and sexual minority context, our study joins the discussion and encourages designers, specifically platform designers, to think holistically about how these marginalized users prefer to define their gender online and how to provide more accessible and culturally appropriate options to them. As the current design practices are mostly informed by the Western notions of affordances, as researchers, we should extend our horizon towards non-Western marginalized communities and integrate their experiences into the design phase. And only then we can finally achieve our goal to have an inclusive technology that supports vulnerable populations beyond Western context. Thank you for listening to my presentations. You can reach to me using my Twitter account or LinkedIn or my website. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.